Morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rabbi.
We're learning Mishna Erevin, Perek Test, Chapter 9, Mishna Gimel, Mishna 3. Okay, so we had a case before in the previous Mishnah of a chutzner that the wall came down, and it was now open to the Rishus Rabbin, to the public domain, and therefore it's no more Rishus Hayachid. It became a Carmelis. Now the Mishnah gives us, so there you basically had a case of a wall. There was a wall separating between, it was one of the walls of the courtyard. It separated between the courtyard and the Rishus Harabim. The wall came down. It's down. It's gone. So you have the whole side is open to the Rishus Harabim. We say now the chutzner is a Carmelis. Now we have the following case. Now, if let's say, as we had before, let's say if only part of the wall came down and the opening of the wall was less than 10 cubits, 10 amos wide, we would say the wall is still there. It's only considered a pesach, considered a doorway. If it's more than 10 amos, that's a breach. The wall is considered gone. Now we're going to have a different scenario. Chatzar shenifratz al rishus harabim, a courtyard that was breached and is now open to the public domain. Mishteru chaiseha, from its two sides. Now what that means is like this. What it means is that the breach is where two sides meet. That means at a corner.
Yep.
At a corner. If the breach, meaning the breach didn't occur in the middle of the wall, it actually occurred at the end of two walls, so that at the corner there's a breach. The same thing about a house. Let's say at a house, and again, it was breached in that way, that at the corner where two walls meet at the corner, that's where the breach took place. Now, let me just show you the picture here, because it's here, so I might as well see it. This is the case of the court. Yeah, this is the case of the courtyard that was breached at the corner, where the walls meet at the corner. And this is the case of the house. Now, in the case of the house, I don't know if you can notice it, but not only is the wall gone, basically the whole top is gone. The ceiling part is also gone. Meaning it's not like you have the wall gone at the corner, but there's still something left on top. Because if there was something left on top, basically we say that if the ceiling, meaning here the ceiling is gone, it's open up all the way up to the top. Where the ceiling still to have been there, we would have said a principle called Pi Tikra Yored V'Soisem. We look at the edge of the roof as if it comes down and closes up. That's a halachic concept. So were the tikra, were the ceiling still to be there, even if the wall was gone at the corner, wouldn't be a problem. It would still be considered closed up. But the case is that the ceiling is also gone. Therefore, we have this breach. A breach in the corner, as we're going to see, is a breach, even if it's less than 10 amos wide. Why? Because less than 10 amos, we say, in the middle of a wall, it's considered the opening. It's considered a doorway. No one makes doorways at the corner like that. And therefore, any breach there is considered, even if it's less than 10 amos, it's a breach. And the same thing, whether it's the courtyard, whether it's the house. Now, or let's say an alleyway that its crossbeam or its lechi or its pole was removed. If you remember, way back to the beginning of this Masechta, we spoke about a halacha. Let's say you have an alleyway. Right, we have the houses open to the courtyards open to the alleyway, and the alleyway is open to the public domain. So the halacha is that if let's say the alleyway is closed on three sides, it's not open on both sides to the public domain. It's only open on one side to the public domain. So really, it's a rishus hayachid. It's a private domain according to Torah law. The Chachamim said, since it's open to the public domain, and we want people to know where the alleyway ends and the public domain begins, you cannot carry on the alleyway unless you put up something like a pole at the end or a crossbeam at the end. That should be your sign that here ends the alleyway. And if you don't put that up, you can't carry there. Now the whole point of this Mishnah right now is, and we get it really from this last part. It says an alleyway that its beam or its pole or its beam, its crossbeam were removed. When were they removed? On Shabbos. Okay, if it was removed before Shabbos, you'd have nothing there when Shabbos begins. And the same thing with the wall. We're talking about here where this breach that we cannot consider the doorway. When did the breach take place? on Shabbos. So as Shabbos began, everything here was kosher. Everything was fine. You had your walls, maybe you had your Erev, everything was fine. And then, bang, this part of the wall came down at the corner, whether it be of the house, whether it be of the courtyard, or you had that pole up and the pole fell down, or the crossbeam fell down. It's not there anymore. Beginning of Shabbos, it was there. Now it's not. So, mutarin ba'oisei Shabbos. It is still permitted on that Shabbos. On that Shabbos, you can continue carrying.
As if it was there.
As if it was there. But asurin l'aseh, but it's going to be forbidden in the future, meaning next Shabbos, not going to work. Meaning if it started okay on Shabbos, we say, okay, you can continue. But if it got messed up, but if once it's messed up for the next Shabbos, it's not going to help you. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda, these are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. So really what we're having here is like this. According to Torah law, this breach does not mess up your wall. It doesn't. You still have 3 walls. But we learned that when a courtyard is open to the public domain, we consider the area no more a shur sayachid, we consider it a carmelis. That's rabbinic law. And according to Rabbi Yehuda, if on Shabbos things started off good, and now because the wall is gone, you run into this problem being open to the public domain, Rabbi Yehuda says, if it started on Shabbos okay, it continues okay. Rabbi Yosi said, in mutarin la'isei Shabbos, if you're going to tell me it's permissible for this Shabbos, mutarin la'aseh you got to tell me it's permissible for any other Shabbos. V'masurin la'aseh, and if it's forbidden for the next Shabbos, which you agree to, asurin la'isei Shabbos, it's forbidden for that Shabbos itself. His point was you can't differentiate when it comes to the walls. When it comes to the walls, you can't differentiate. If you're telling me already I don't have a wall anymore for next Shabbos, I don't have a wall for this Shabbos anymore either. According to Rabbi Yehuda, you're not going to say that when the problem is in the wall, that, well, the wall was there before Shabbos, so now, even though we don't really have it anymore, it's still considered like it's there. You don't say that by walls. Now, if you remember, we had a different kind of case. And we had a case where the problem is something else. Meaning, if you remember, we had our case yesterday of the large courtyard and the small courtyard. You used to have a wall in between them, and then the wall came down on Shabbos. Now, in that situation, the whole need for the wall was only to allow both people to use both courtyards to be able to be used. Each courtyard made an Erev Chatzeris, right? And only because the wall came down, we have a problem, because now that the walls came down, and each courtyard is open to each other, and each courtyard cannot carry into the other one, then we run into a problem. Without an actual wall, you can't carry anymore, because now they need to make an Erev together. So I really, my walls to create my private domain according to Torah law, they're always there. They're there. It's only because of the laws of Erevin that say, well, because meaning the laws of Erevin say that they can't, that although they made their own Erev, since they didn't make an Erev with each other, and they're open to each other now, if they're open to each other, the law is, it's like being open to a public domain. You can't go in and carry it. But there, so what do we say? Then we get into a discussion, is there a halachic wall there? Is not a halachic wall there? In that situation, even Rabbi Yosi agrees that if the wall came down on Shabbos, not before Shabbos, wall came down on Shabbos, you can continue carrying. Because if I have my kosher walls, essentially, my only problem is basically that because there is no error made between the two of them, and now that the wall came down, and they're open to each other, they can't carry between each other, we say that they can't carry within themselves. For that, Rabbi Yosi agrees that if that's the whole issue, it's not really a wall problem, it's an Erev problem. In that situation, we say if before Shabbos the wall was there and you're able to carry in your courtyard, if the wall comes down on Shabbos, you can continue carrying in your courtyard, not between each other, but in your own courtyard. It's only when it falls down before Shabbos. So when Shabbos began, you needed an Erev between both of them, and they didn't make an Erev together. So now each courtyard is open to a courtyard that they cannot carry into. Then we say you can't carry in your own either. But if it were to happen on Shabbos, since when Shabbos began, the partition was there, they were to carry within their own courtyard, they can continue. It's only in this case where the problem is with the wall. It's the wall that's gone. It's a wall, not just a wall that creates an Erev issue. It's basically a lack of a wall that now says it's open to the public domain, and it's a lack of a wall that's separated between the public domain and them. Then already we say, according to Rabbi Yossi, that if the wall was gone even on Shabbos, if it falls on Shabbos, it's like not there anymore, and you cannot carry in the courtyard anymore. And the lach is like Rabbi Yossi. Have a wonderful day.
So
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi. So if you have a